Remy LeBeau moves through the grass around Rogue's memorial, staff in hand, as another twisted corpse thing lunges at him. A charged card explodes against its face, pink energy flaring as he fights and thinks of her. Rogue used to call him Dark Eyes. When he was little Chow-Yi, other girls would scream when they saw his eyes, but she never did, not Rogue. She looked straight at him, never turning away, and even told him she loved his eyes. Now, a giant, inert, lifeless statue stands here in her honor, a monument he has visited ever since it was raised. On the day this statue went up, his eyesight started to fade. Ransom says it's because his retinas were burned in the flash, but Remy knows a different truth. Once Rogue was gone, he didn't have anything left worth looking at. Remy stands before Rogue's memorial, smoke rising from the scorched ground around him. His body is exhausted, weighted by grief. He knows that if his vision ever returned, he would have to see what remained of her, and that thought alone feels like it could break him. He leans on his staff, admitting to himself how tired he is, tired down to his bones, ready to be with his wife. Nightcrawler once prayed with him here, and as he lowers his head, he hopes someone is still listening. Henrietta, the guardian of the dark artery, approaches gently and calls to him, urging him to come inside. She tells him she knows the grief, the pain, the guilt of simply staying alive. Remy follows her unsteadily as she guides him, inviting him to come to her. When she pulls him into an embrace, Remy realizes he was wrong about having no tears left. They fall freely now. Henrietta holds him close, telling him Rogue would be proud. She asks him again to come inside, and this time, he lets her lead him home. Henrietta met Remy outside, taking in his appearance with concern. He was disheveled, streaked with grime and ash, still carrying the weight of the fight he had just come from. He explained quietly that he'd had to kill a group of zombies, apologizing for the mess left on him. She cupped his face, forgiveness soft in her voice, and called him Sweet Prince, urging him inside because the others needed him. As she embraced him, Remy felt again the strange warmth she carried. For someone who had lived in darkness for more than a century, buried in an underground graveyard as the guardian of the dark artery, her kiss still felt like sunshine. He couldn't help envying the light in her, a brightness she maintained despite everything she had endured. Inside the house, Ransom waited with the others. He questioned Henrietta, reminding her she had spent a century guarding the penumbra and keeping something terrible from rising to the surface. Something had changed, he insisted, or else the tormented would never have reached them. Henrietta admitted she didn't know how it happened. Every gate remained sealed, every mystic lock unopened. Yet something had awakened the force she had long contained, stirring its vast power. Temper asked whether another entrance existed, some hidden path between their world and the other, because the tormented who attacked them had been undeniably real. Henrietta shook her head. She would have known if they had tunneled outward, but she did know one horrible truth, and the room fell silent as they waited for her to speak it. From the depths of a cavernous void, an ancient monstrosity rises, towering above the worshippers gathered in the water below. Their arms stretch upward in reverence as the creature's massive form emerges into the light. Chains hang from its body like abandoned restraints, and its eyes burn with a cold, awakened hunger. The truth spoken by Henrietta becomes real in this moment. The being long held beneath the penumbra has surfaced at last. Shu Karak has arisen. She told them how, for 300 years, Shu Karak had watched over the dead, torturing the ragged souls that gathered around her, serving as their warden and their judge. She had punished the humans who betrayed mutants in their own families, striking down parents, siblings, and even children. She described her as a remorseless force of vengeance. If Shu Karak had found another path out of the penumbra, Henrietta warned, she would turn her fury on everyone on Earth for the way they had treated mutants, especially for how they had treated her daughter. The others stared at the enormity of the creature now visible through the darkness, its massive form cutting through the water. Henrietta's voice grew heavier as she finished. Shu Karak, she said, was a global cancer, an extinction event, and after centuries of holding her at bay, Henrietta could no longer contain her. Henrietta continued her grim explanation as Shu Karak drifted through the ocean's depths, her vast form twisting like a living shadow beneath the waves. She moved with purpose, cutting through the dark water until the outline of a colossal armored figure appeared on the seafloor. Galactus's body lay dormant where it had fallen, abandoned in the deep since Rogue defeated him. Now Shu Karak circled the corpse, her silhouette dwarfing the scattered debris around him. Henrietta warned that once unleashed, Shu Karak would become the Leviathan, a force greater than any horror humanity had ever endured. Plague, war, famine, all would seem insignificant beside her wrath. She explained that Shu Karak would eclipse them all, driven not only by rage, but by a deep sense of betrayal. And because she believed her own kind had turned against her, the monster's vengeance would begin with mutants. They would be her first meals. Remy gathered the group on the porch, leaning on his staff as he addressed them, They all knew what was coming. He explained that the gate holding Shu Karak was cracking open, widening by the hour. According to Henry, she could break free soon, possibly within hours. Their job, Remy said, was to stop her somehow. Heidi stepped forward, quietly telling him they weren't enough. Ransom agreed. Even with a full squad and the Man-Thing fighting beside them, they had barely made a mark on Shu Karak before. Remy admitted the truth of it. They needed more firepower, but everyone left in the world was just struggling to stay alive. There was no one to call. Ransom exchanged a look with the others, then told Remy there was something they had never shared with him. The four of them, Ransom, Heidi, Temper, and Henrietta, were the original outliers. They had taken a vow forged in a place called Death Dream. Remy asked what vow Ransom had taken. Ransom told him plainly, if Shu Karak ever broke free, their duty was to force her back into her underground prison. And if she refused to return, their final vow was even harsher, to kill her before she killed them all. Remy stood on the porch with the others, gripping his staff as the situation grew more urgent. He told the group their next move. They needed to go get the outliers. Ransom warned him that the outliers were scattered across the world now, changed from the people Remy remembered. Remy answered that they would still go after them, with determination. Chelsea stepped forward, explaining that she could send them to where the outliers were, but she couldn't force any of them to return. Remy remained confident. The outliers had taken a vow long ago. He believed they would honor it. He gently brushed Chelsea's cheek, calling her butterscotch, and told her that her help would have to be enough. As the team assembled in the yard, Ransom gave Chelsea instructions to stay behind with Henrietta and be ready to sound the alarm if needed. Ransom told Remy to be safe. Chelsea, glowing with teleportation energy, promised Val she would stay alert. Lightning and golden light built around her as she prepared to transport the team. Remy looked back one last time and told Chelsea that if they failed to return, she needed to take care of his girl, Butterscotch. Then the teleportation power surged, lifting them into the air as the world flashed around them. Remy steadied himself, knowing he had one last gambit to try. Remy arrived in Shanghai, the city lights glittering beneath him as Chelsea's teleport left him clinging to the side of a towering skyscraper. He steadied himself, thinking that Dome would never drop him somewhere dangerous on purpose, but Chelsea could be absent-minded at times. Still, blind beneath his visor, he felt that whatever waited for him here was something he was glad he couldn't see. A voice greeted him from the darkness above. Remy turned toward it. Saturong's massive form emerged against the skyline, an enormous dragon coiled around the building's side. Remy called out to him, asking whether he wasn't worried about being seen. Saturong dismissed the concern, saying he was considered good luck in this part of the world. The dragon told Remy he already knew what the X-Man wanted from him, but he refused. He would not go against Shu Karak, though he admitted fondness for Remy, remarking that Remy was nearly dragon-like in demeanor. Saturong still would not face the voice of darkness. With a final regretful glance, the dragon explained that he valued his own life far too much to risk it for mortals. He apologized, making clear he would not join the fight. Ransom arrived at an ancient cemetery on the outskirts of Istanbul, calling out for Hotaru, Death Dream. The graveyard stretched beneath the moonlight, 700 years old, filled with the tombs of saints and sultans. Hotaru appeared among the gravestones, moving with quiet, unsettling grace. He explained that he spoke with the dead in their ancient tongues, and that, surrounded by thousands of spirits, he was never truly alone. Ransom asked whether he missed people, but Hotaru turned away, telling him to go. He said he was no longer suited for the company of the living and had forgotten how to speak with them. Ransom stepped closer, apologizing for how their friendship had ended. He was glad Hotaru had returned to life one last time, but the situation was dire. Shu Karak had risen, and the outliers had taken a vow to stop her. Ransom called him little brother, hoping it would reach him. Hotaru closed his eyes and whispered a bitter curse against Ransom, against Valentin Correa, wishing him to the eternal dirt, even as Ransom rested a hand on his shoulder. In the frozen expanse of Antarctica, Temper arrived at a remote cabin battered by snow and wind. She pounded on the door, calling out to Jitter, Sophia, and pleading for her help. After a long moment, Sophia opened the door, surprised but genuinely glad to see her. She explained she didn't get many visitors and asked if Temper was cold, quickly remembering Heidi's power and brushing off the question. Inside, the cabin was cramped and cluttered, but warm compared to the storm outside. Temper asked why Sophia had isolated herself so far from everything. Sophia reminded her that Rogue had trained her to refine her power, pushing her to master not just one skill, but many. She listed the people she had learned from: Shang-Chi, Hawkeye, Mr. Fantastic, Dr. Banner, Copernicus, and countless more. But Sophia's voice grew strained. Those skills now carried voices. They never went away. The silence of this remote place was the only thing that kept her sane. Temper told her Shu Karak had returned, and Sophia nodded. She already knew. She said she knew almost everything now. She agreed to come, but asked for a favor first. She admitted she hadn't felt warm in 3 years, and held out the steamy mug she had prepared. With a faint smile, she asked for a little boost. Outside Denver, Spider-Girl found Calico at a quiet stable, relieved to have located her after hearing how often Becca disappeared for days. Calico explained she spent her time riding, sometimes across dimensions, sometimes among the stars, far beyond anywhere Spider-Girl could imagine. Calico asked if Jetter would be there, and Spider-Girl hesitated before admitting she expected so. After all, they had all made a vow long ago. With a small nod, she acknowledged that promise was still binding. They stepped out into the fading light, surrounded by open fields and grazing horses. Spider-Girl asked about Ember, the horse she missed dearly. Calico assured her he was still around and that she had made certain of it. When Spider-Girl called out for him, Ember answered, his familiar cry echoing across the pasture. Night settles heavily over Haven House as Henrietta and Dome step onto the grounds. The air shifts without warning, dimming around them as if the world itself is being smothered. Dome looks up, unsettled, sensing the change. Henrietta feels it too, an unnatural darkness spreading across the sky, swallowing the horizon. Sudden dread tightens in Henrietta's chest. She whispers the truth she already knows: she is coming. The ground trembles before Dome's panic breaks through. She turns to Henrietta, desperation rising, begging her to stop what approaches. Henrietta steadies herself, but fear threads through her voice as she answers. She will try. A thunderous boom tears open the night, then another and another, the shockwaves splitting the air as massive black stone bursts violently upward from the earth. Water erupts around it, the impact shaking the entire property. And with that final rising quake, Henrietta breathes the words that confirm their worst fear. She's here. The earth splits open with a deafening crack, molten light flooding upward as black stone explodes into the air. From the blaze, a massive hand claws its way free, dripping with earth and fire. Shu Karak breaching the surface at last. Henrietta reacts instantly. She seizes Dome and forces her back, her tone sharp and urgent. She orders her to run, to find cover, to sound the alarm. The others must be called back. Dome falters, trying to object, but Henrietta cuts her off with fiercer insistence. Call them back, no hesitation. Shards of obsidian crash around them as Henrietta turns toward the rising titan. Her fear burns away, replaced with defiance as she faces the emerging Leviathan head-on. She shouts her vow into the blaze, promising that they will stop her. And then, eyes fixed on the creature rising from the earth, she makes her final declaration, directly to Shu Karak herself. They're coming back. They'll stop you. Shu Karak rises to her full, monstrous height, towering over the field in a blaze of molten light and shadow. Chains drag from her body like the remnants of an old prison, and the ground quakes beneath her. Her voice rolls out like thunder, declaring that she will never be stopped. Her vengeance will not end until the entire world falls silent. Henrietta stands alone before her, unflinching despite the sea of resurrected forms gathering behind the Leviathan. She does not retreat, she does not yield. She tells the creature that Shu Karak will have to destroy her first. Energy coils around Henrietta's body, forming sharp spirals of power that flare against the darkening sky. Shu Karak's response is cold and certain. Henrietta's death will come, but it will not be the first. It will be the last. From behind Henrietta, a warning comes to Shu Karak. The forest splits with the sound of marching feet as the team emerges from the darkness, no longer scattered, no longer uncertain. Ransom leads the charge, his voice cutting through the night as he demands the impossible, that Shu Karak release Lady Henrietta. Behind him, the others advance in formation: Sophia, Temper, Calico, the resurrected horse Ember, and Remy himself, staff glowing with charged pink light. They move with purpose, every step carrying the weight of what they have lost and what they refuse to lose again. For the first time in years, as Remy watches his family gather beside him, something shifts inside him. They are not mourners tonight, they are warriors.
Shu Karak accepts the challenge, her massive form tearing through the battlefield as debris explodes around her. Remy watches the chaos and steels himself. If this is their last fight, he tells himself, then he hopes he makes his wife proud. Ransom surges forward into command, exactly the leader he was always meant to be. Logan raised him right. He calls out over the roar of the battle, shouting for Death Dream, asking if the tormented trapped between life and death can be controlled. and then to Chelsea, demanding to know if she can contain Shu Karak. Chelsea answers, forcing the words out. She can try. Remy thinks of her as the little girl he's known since she was born, the one he's been told will someday be the last mutant. Remy wonders if this is that day for his butterscotch. Nearby, Ransom grips Heidi and gives her the hardest order he's ever had to give. She has to fall back to lead the others if his plan fails. Heidi protests, calling him by name, but he insists. He has to do this. She has to take care of their son. Ransom steps out alone before the towering monster, shouting up at Shu Karak, calling her witch, demanding she show him her strength, demanding it again and again. From behind, Remy can only watch and think with a surge of dread. Oh, Ransom, don't do this. Shu Karak slammed into the ground with brutal force, accepting the challenge and unleashing an impact that rips up stone and earth around her. Ransom takes the force of the blast, absorbing the kinetic energy into his body until it crackles through him. He notes that the surge is exactly what he needed and immediately calls for Spider-Girl, asking her to get him up to the towering creature. Spider-Girl swings in on her web, grabs him, and agrees. She remarks on how massive Shu Karak is and urges Ransom on, telling him to go after her. Using the momentum, she hurls him up towards Shu Karak's face. The collision is strong enough to crack the creature's armored mask, causing her to stumble. Remy registers the moment. For the first time in 300 years, Shu Karak loses her balance, and even this small misstep sends a shock he feels deep in his bones. Spider-Girl whooped triumphantly, throwing her fist into the night sky, celebrating far too early. For a fleeting moment, maybe one, maybe two, Remy allowed himself to believe they were winning, that they were something more than desperate fighters clinging to hope. But the shift came fast. Shu Karak turned, flames curling off her monstrous frame as her voice rolled like a judgment. She declared that they would die for their part in her imprisonment. Soon, very soon. But first, she would take their home, the very site that had once held her captive. The air ignited. Haven House, a sanctuary that had stood for hundreds of years, was engulfed in an instant. Dome screamed its name, the sound ripped from her as fire swallowed the structure whole. Remy knew the truth as he felt the heat wash over them. The place meant to protect the last innocent mutants was lost in seconds. From within the blaze, Deathdream emerged, his shadows writhing around her like mourning serpents. He spoke with cold clarity. Shu Karak had vanished with Lady Henrietta in her grasp. They had lost, and scarcely managed to lay a hand on the creature. Their sanctuary, he said, would become their tomb. Nearby, Becca turned to Jitterbug, her voice trembling with grief as she apologized. The weight of failure pressed down on all of them. But Sophia stepped forward, gentle even with flames at her back. She cupped Becca's face, quieting her sorrow with a kiss. She told her she loved her, but pleaded for silence. In that moment, surrounded by fire and loss, the two held on to the only thing left that hadn't yet been torn away. The survivors gathered in the smoking ruins of Haven House, the flames still licking at the shattered foundations. Ransom looked out across the destruction, struggling to grasp how quickly Shu Karak had moved. He understood only that she was already far from them, racing toward the gulf, and he questioned aloud what purpose drove her there. Spider-Girl studied the devastation, realizing Shu Karak's path was deliberate. Sophia stepped forward, sensing the creature's pull toward the ocean. She explained that Shu Karak was moving toward the deep water, and then clarified it further. The creature was headed for Atlantis. Chelsea, stricken, cried out for her family's home, now lost in the inferno. Remy placed a steadying hand on her shoulder and assured her softly that if tomorrow still existed for them, they would rebuild. He asked her gently why Shu Karak would choose that destination above all others. In response, Sophia explained the truth she knew. Beneath the waves dwelled one who had long been regarded as the first mutant, someone who held no affection for mutants or humans alike. And Shu Karak was going straight for him. She was going after Namor. Remy could only mutter under his breath, recognizing instantly how bad this was.